Pardon?
She's got to get the tape cassette ready to record it.
That's fine.
The meeting is now live now, Chair.
Thank you. Good afternoon and welcome to the Cabinet Member for Traffic and Transportation Decision Meeting. I'm Councillor Lynn Stagg, the Cabinet Member for Traffic and Transportation. We are meeting virtually in response to the limitations placed on governance by the COVID-19 pandemic. Previously, the law stated that all members had to be present in the room to make formal decisions at meetings. However, the law was amended in response to COVID-19 emergency and councils were able to hold public meetings virtually. This is in accordance with local authorities coronavirus flexibility of local authority meetings regulation 2020 number 392, the regulations. Members of the public are invited to view this meeting and there has been the opportunity for written representations to be submitted. Those present are requested to keep their microphones on mute and to only turn them on when they are called to speak. Members are requested to keep their cameras turned on at all times. Officers are required to turn their cameras on only when they're presenting the reports and answering questions. If anyone would like to speak, please write your name in the right to speak thing in the chat function. Thank you. Introductions. I'll now invite you to those present to introduce themselves. And I'll start with, I think, Councillor Bosher.
Good afternoon, Lynn. Councillor Simon Bosher, Conservative spokesman for Traffic and Transportation, present.
Thank you. Do we have Councillor Heaney here today?
Yes. Hello. Good afternoon.
I can't see. Oh, right. I can see you. Yes, can you introduce yourself?
I'm obviously hiding somewhere.
Right.
So yes, I'm Councillor Graham Heaney. I'm the Labour Group spokesman on Traffic and Transportation.
Thank you and welcome, Councillor Heaney. And I believe we have Councillor Scott Peter Harris.
Thank you, Councillor Stagg. Appreciate that. Obviously, I'm here in my capacity as the Vice Chair of Licensing to talk on item 4.
Okay, thank you. Right. Do we have any apologies for absence, Anna?
There were no apologies, Councillor Stagg.
Okay. I'll introduce. Sorry, it's not Anna, it's Jane this day. Would officers like to introduce themselves? I'll call your names out and as you appear on my screen. So we'll start with Jane Dino.
Yes, Chair, I'm here. I'm the Local Democracy Officer.
Thank you. Pam Turton.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Pam Turton. I'm the Assistant Director for Transport at PCC.
Felicity.
Thank you. Felicity Tibbury, Transport Planning Manager at Portsmouth City Council.
Thank you. Gina.
I'm Gina. I'm the Access and Equality Advisor.
Hayley.
Hi, I'm Hayley Chivers, the Strategic Transport Lead.
I can't see who else is on. I know somebody else was here earlier. I can't see who they are now.
Simon.
Right, Simon.
Yeah, I'm Simon Bell. I'm the Principal Public Transport Officer.
Thank you, Simon. Wayne, I think you're here, aren't you?
Wayne Nates, I'm the Finance Manager here at Portsmouth
City
Council.
And there was somebody else as well.
And we've got Dan as well.
Dan.
Yeah, Dan Hughes. I'm the Acting EV Charging Project Manager.
Lovely. Thank you all very much. Do we have any declarations of interest from the members? Councillor Bosher, who's disappeared again.
Try large gallery, Councillor Stagg. No, I don't have any declarations.
Councillor Heaney?
No, I don't have any declarations either. Thank you.
And Councillor Scott Peter Harris?
No declarations at all.
Lovely, thank you. Right, do we have any deputations?
Yes, Chair. Councillor Peter Harris is here to speak on the second report.
Right. Would you like us to go with the second report first, so that you don't have to wait around Councillor Peter Harris? I'm quite happy to do that.
Honestly, Councillor Stagg, I'm happy for you to go in any order you wish to. I've got 2 screens on the go, so I'm behest at your call.
You needn't show off just because you've got 2 screens.
Oh no, I'm trying to do some work at the same time, you see.
Yeah, I know, I've got the same thing. Lovely, thank you very much. Then in that case, we'll go on to item number when I find it. Item number 3, which is the concessionary fare scheme, companion pass entitlement. And who's presenting that? Is that Simon or is it Felicity or who?
It's myself, Councillor Stagg, and Simon and Gina are both here for any technical questions.
Lovely, thank you. Would you like to?
Of course, yes. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. So in September 2019, a decision paper was brought to Traffic and Transportation Cabinet meeting, and it was approved for the pilot for a revised eligibility criteria for the concessionary fares companion pass scheme entitlement. There are a number of reasons for undertaking this pilot and reviewing the eligibility criteria, and this included reflecting the user's needs rather than income levels, the withdrawal of government housing benefits previously used for companion pass eligibility criteria, and also further guidance has been issued by the Department for Transport since the scheme was originally introduced. So the pilot ran for 12 months, starting in January 2020, and this report outlines the pilot consultation results and a series of recommendations for the scheme. As outlined in sections 6.2 and 6.3 of the report, the eligibility criteria has been updated following the trial consultation, and all of that is outlined in the report. So the recommendations today are that the Cabinet Member for Traffic and Transportation notes the contents of this report, approves the revised changes to the eligibility criteria set out in the report following the 12-month pilot for the concessionary fares scheme companion pass, and finally approves all existing pass holders to be contacted before the expiry of their current pass to ensure that any disadvantages are mitigated where possible due to the introduction of the revised eligibility criteria. Thank you.
Thank you, Felicity. Councillor Bosher, do you have any questions or comments?
Yes, if I can, Councillor Stagg. I've got a question, but I've also got a comment as well. And it centres around 6.4 in the report. It's recommended that all existing pass holders be contacted before the expiry of their current pass to ensure that they are not disadvantaged by the revised eligibility criteria. On that wider note, that's going to require potentially something from a healthcare professional or a GP to say that they still meet that particular criteria. Given that those healthcare professionals, GPs, etc., are probably concentrating on other aspects at this moment in time, such as COVID, vaccinations, etc., and this might be deemed a bureaucratic thing from their perspective. What sort of notice are we giving these the people about having to renew the eligibility, and are we actually giving them some slack if they're unable to get hold of the information before the expiry of their pass?
Who's going to answer that, Felicity or Gina?
Simon, are you able to come in on that question, please?
Oh, right. Sorry, Simon. Yes.
Yes. No, it's there are a limited number of passes that renew each year, so not all of them renew each year. So out of the 328 current companion passes, only a small number will renew in this April, which will be the first time of renewal. And we're suggesting for this year that we would renew for a further year to avoid taking that pressure off the NHS, and hopefully by the time we get to the end of February 2022, we will hopefully will be in a slightly better position.
So what you're saying, Simon, if I understand it then, is for this year there will be an automatic renewal and no necessity to go through healthcare professionals for supporting documentation.
I mean, there will be new people who may qualify in future, and and they will have to obviously seek the appropriate, but they're not currently receiving a companion pass. But for those ones that are coming up for renewal, they would they're often normally renewed for a 5-year period. It was proposed it would be a 1-year period on this occasion, just to take this pressure off for the NHS and other healthcare professionals, because it may be it isn't just GPs. It could be a whole. It's suggested it shouldn't be a GP, but a whole series of others. But as you rightly say, Councillor, they're likely to be used on more pressing issues for the NHS at the moment.
That's fine. That's all I wanted to understand. But just a brief comment from me. I think I'm fine with the report, Lynn. I think totally support the recommendations that you've actually got there.
Good, lovely, thank you. Councillor Heaney, have you got any questions or comments?
Yes, I do actually. Well, thank you for the clarification, because I have to say the report didn't actually spell out the original condition of the companion pass in saying it's granted for 5 years, etc., etc. So a lot of basic information is missing, and I'm going to ask, how long does it last? So can I just clarify? Are we intending to have the pass as a 5-year pass in the future, or is it just going to be 1 year this year? I'm a little unclear about how that will work, and I'm assuming the pass is only eligible to be used after 9:30. Is that correct? I've got a couple of other questions as well to ask. So.
Who's going to answer that? Is that you, Simon, or Felicity?
I'm quite happy to. For those people that have that hold a disabled person's pass and then have a companion in addition to that as part of that pass, they're valid for travel at any time, and that will continue. There'll be no change there. As I say, normally companion passes are issued for a minimum of 3 years, but often 5 years, because if they need the pass, I mean, that is the maximum period we can issue passes for. But for those ones that are expiring this year, the 1st of April this year, we're proposing to just do that 1 year extension, and then they would have to reapply in March 2022.
Does that answer your question, Graham?
Sort of, but I mean, one of the things that normally happens with benefit changes is that new applicants will have to meet the new criteria, but existing claimants get their protection, if you like, until some stage, as they do not need to have the benefit they are normally entitled to. And I was wondering why, instead of trawling through all 300 to find out if they're circumvention, why we don't protect the ones who have initially been given it on the right criteria until some point they do not need it, because you assume, because if you review it after X number of years, they may still need it, but the assumption is that if they don't meet the criteria, they'll lose it. Because there won't be many. I don't think there'll be large numbers involved in this, so we could actually continue to protect them. Is that something that you're doing?
Right. Yes, I mean, for those people that it would appear we don't think will possibly qualify, although we won't know until they reapply, because it may be that they are in receipt of some other benefit other than housing benefit that would mean they still qualify. We will consider those cases on a case-by-case basis with their application. So effectively, they may well continue to receive a pass.
Is that all right, Graham?
Yes, but if it's a case-by-case basis, do they have an appeal? They don't agree with their decision on a case-by-case basis. And who does that appeal go to?
I think Gina is there to help out anyway, isn't she? Am I right, Gina?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah. I mean, the thing is with the companion path, it's what's happened now is we're actually doing the criteria based on need rather than financial. Before there was, I think some years ago, a bit of money, so they decided, oh, we'll do a companion pass, but didn't really think it through, and it was done more on financial than on need. So what we've done this time, looking at the criteria, which it mirrors most of the other areas, Southampton, Hampshire, we've looked at it, and it would just mean that people that need it will get this companion pass. It's because the benefits have changed, but it's not going to impact on many people at all. I mean, we're only talking at 328 now, and that you don't get a huge amount because the criteria is quite high, because it is about the people that really need it.
Yeah. So how many people do you think, Gina, will be negatively impacted by it?
Very small amount, maybe, don't know, 10, what did you say, about 30? Simon?
I would think it's as low as that. From the surveys we've done of users, it was suggesting that and perhaps less than 10 or 12 people of those that responded thought that they wouldn't meet the criteria, or well, they perceived they wouldn't, and they may still do, but in terms of the other benefits that they may not receive, but there may be other means.
But if they appeal, there's somebody there to help them, such as Gina or yourself. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
we would look at that, and we would obviously gather more information to look at why they haven't met the criteria. It may be that they're not getting the right benefits.
Right.
So they may come to us and say, I can't get it because I don't get this. But it may be that we use some of our other partners like CAB to look at their benefits, and it may be that they do actually qualify, because not everyone's getting the right benefits that they need.
So in reality, it's probably reaching further than the old companion passes.
Yes.
Which, yeah, that's good. Yes.
Okay, that's reassuring. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, good. Okay.
I had one other question. You've changed the criteria for the medical report from a GP letter. It doesn't count, and you called it a report. Now, is this because there's a change in the substance of what's required in terms of information for this, or can a health professional just write a letter saying this is why X needs it? Because you said a report, are you asking for a lot more comprehensive information about their condition before you're granted?
I mean, I'm sure Simon will correct me. It's not a report as such. It's just making sure that the information that we get is correct. So we're not asking for this huge report. It will be just, and it may be at some point we look and create some sort of template which we would give to that healthcare professional, which they could just fill in. We're not asking for a huge amount.
That's again reassuring. I just noted it says that in the council report. So obviously, when we go out to the public, we need to make sure we're clear what we're asking them for, so they don't get confused and think they need something really exceptionally detailed, etc. So,
yeah, it's a good point. So that could be added, couldn't it, to the report? I mean, not in this particular instance. When it goes, information goes out publicly.
Otherwise, I'm happy with the recommendations. That's fine. Thank you.
Good. In that case, if there's no more comments, I'm happy to. I've noted the report, and I'm happy to approve the revised changes. That's 2.2 and 2.3. Approve that all existing pass holders be contacted before the expiry of their current pass to ensure that any disadvantages are mitigated where possible due to the introduction of the revised eligibility criteria. So I'm quite happy with that. Thank you all very much. Now the next one is the EV charging points, which I think is Hayley. Am I right? Is Hayley going to deliver this or Felicity?
Yes, Councillor Stagg. I'm going to present it, and Dan's here to support with any questions.
Brilliant, lovely, thank you. Can you go ahead?
Yeah. So the purpose of the report is to review the off-street electrical vehicle charge point trial, which ends on the 29th of January 2021, and recommend the next steps for electric vehicle charging in off-street car parks in Portsmouth. On the 17th of July 2017, a report was approved by the Cabinet Member for Traffic and Transportation for the off-street electric vehicle charge point trial to run for 2 years. At the meeting of the 23rd of January 2020, this trial was extended until 29th of January 2021. The off-street electric vehicle charge point trial was implemented to promote electric vehicle use in the city for visitors as well as residents. The findings of this trial will inform the feasibility strategy being developed for the other council-owned off-street locations, including upgrading the Portsmouth Park and Ride division with consideration of other pay and display, business park, housing and leisure sites. Portsmouth City Council took forward the off-street charge point trial in conjunction with local company City EV. The trial provided 3 electric vehicle charge points in council car parks of Isambard Brunel multi-storey, the Seafront Esplanade and Clarence Pier. These locations were chosen based on the existing level of usage of the car park, proximity to employment and tourist destinations and transport interchanges, and the average dwell time of vehicles being sufficient to provide an adequate level of charge for plug-in vehicles. The first 2 charge points were commissioned in March 2018, which were the Seafront Esplanade and Isambard Brunel car parks, with Clarence Pier following in December 2018. The report outlines that the overall charge point usage has steadily increased month by month. This is likely due to an increase in plug-in vehicle users and increased awareness of the scheme. The level of usage across the 3 charge points then levelled off in summer months, with the COVID-19 lockdown having little impact on overall long-term trends. though lower usage in the early months of lockdown can be seen. The plateau demonstrates that the existing charge points are being used to their capacity, indicating that over time, having only one charge point and one dedicated bay in each off-street location will eventually lead to a situation where maximum capacity will be reached and demand exceeds it. To counteract this, as part of the feasibility strategy, PCC officers will ensure that a sufficient number of charge points are provided to meet demand. The recommendations are that the Cabinet Member for Traffic and Transportation note the findings of the off-street electric vehicle charge point trial, approve the trial electric vehicle charge points at Seafront Escalade and Lisbon Barbary multi-storey car parks remain in situ until such time that a procurement exercise has been completed, and notes that a feasibility strategy is under development for understanding the requirements of off-street electric vehicle charging infrastructure for all council-owned car parks, and a decision paper on this will be brought back to a future meeting. The reasoning for these recommendations is that an increase in future provision of charge points within Portsmouth City Council-owned car parks would encourage residents and visitors to make a switch from petrol and diesel vehicles to plug-in vehicles and support the city's air quality, which is particularly important following the recent announcement that by 2030 the sale of new petrol and diesel cars will be banned. It's important that infrastructure is carefully planned for through undertaking a feasibility study covering locations, types and numbers of charge points to meet the rising demand in the city without causing a wider detriment to parking availability. Thank you.
Thank you, Hayley. Councillor Peter Harris, you wanted to make a deputation, I believe.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Stagg. It's literally on one item of the report, which is 3.5 in the report. It mentions about the City Council seeking to secure funding from central government for the installation of rapid EV charging points for the taxi and private hire trade. Obviously, it was the allocation of that funding is dependent on us amending our statement of licensing policy, which has now happened. So the policy has been amended to reflect the funding bid at the recent licensing committee. What I would like to ask from yourself as the cabinet member more so is, obviously, if the officers are successful in ensuring that they do win this funding for us, and it does say in the report they're going to work with the taxi and private hire trade to identify the locations for the infrastructure, which I think is a good thing. The request from me as the vice chair, and having spoken to the chair already as well, who does agree that we believe that very similar to the taxi ranks in the city, we would like these EV charging points to pass through the committee, so the committee can have a look at where the locations would be and potentially work with the trade just so we can pass a judgment on it. I know that fundamentally the decision making is yours as the cabinet member, but as a noting report, just so we can give our input as a committee, I think that would be a sensible thing to do, and it helps the joined up working relationship between traffic and transportation and the licensing committee. So I'm sure that request will I hope that request will be heeded. I think it's good for a working relationship to maintain that, and I think it makes the taxi trade feel invested as well. So I think which is quite important in the current times. So that's the only request I've got from yourself as a cabinet member, and I just hope that can be done.
Absolutely, I mean, we're totally in support of getting as many of the hackneys and the private hire vehicles to change over to electric. Obviously, it's expensive, and it's following with COVID. I mean, a lot of the drivers are financially in dire straits here, but yes, we will support in any way we can, and I'm sure Pam will agree on this as the Assistant Director of Transport. I say putting her on the spot straight away, but
no, yes, of course, we'd be very happy to do that.
We have met actually with the private hire vehicles because they're interested as well in putting in their own charging points. So yes, the more the merrier.
No, I appreciate that, Councillor Stagg. It's more so that I think when we had Paul Darlow come to licensing committee on the taxi ranks, and it was really quite beneficial for the members and for the trade as well, so we can have a proper engagement. And I think this is going to go down the similar thing, because effectively they're going to be charging on these rapid vehicles and these rapid vehicle charging points around the city, and it's going to have a similar effect as basically what a rank's going to be, because they're going to have to be in certain locations. So yeah, this would be beneficial for all round.
Well, representatives from the two branches always come to the transport liaison meetings anyway, so they know that we support them in every way we can.
Thank you.
Right. Anything else, Councillor Pate Harris?
No, just thanks for letting me say my piece.
That's all right. I'm always good like that. Councillor Heaney, have you got any questions or comments?
Yes, thank you, Councillor. Well, only really to get some idea of sort of timescales that we might be talking about in getting the feasibility strategy and then developing the idea of infrastructure on council and car parks. I mean, what sort of timescales are we looking at for the various phases of this?
Hayley, have you got any comments on that? Or is it Daniel?
Yep. We're currently looking at the June TNT to bring the results of the feasibility at the moment.
And then how long before it, well, we've got to apply for funding.
Yes, we haven't got fund.
We need the results of the feasibility study to apply for the funding to hopefully be successful.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's likely to be 2022 before anything is going to happen? Possibly.
Possibly, yeah.
Possibly, yeah. So that's just
string.
Yeah.
Who really knows?
And does that also apply to the proposal for private hire vehicles having that'll be all part of the same package?
I think that's true, isn't it, Dan?
It will be undertaken as the same kind of feasibility study, hopefully. I'm meeting with air quality colleagues soon to understand what their timelines are like for the rapid charges. But the idea is that we try and, join things up and deliver them at the same time as much as possible.
Well, the CAS goes live in November, doesn't it? So we would like to see things in place by then, if possible. Whether that's going to happen or not, who knows? But we can push for it. Anything else, Councillor Healy?
I notice you're saying that council owned car parks will be the priority, and obviously we own those, so in a sense we've got a bit of an advantage because we can decide on that. Are we considering approaching other bodies like, say, supermarkets who have often quite large car parks and might be willing to have a charger there? Would that be part of the possible rollout at some stage?
We have communicated with private car parks, but obviously we don't have any control over kind of what they do. So it's about kind of steering them in the right direction and trying to make sure that we're matching up with what we're delivering. But obviously it's kind of up to them as to what they want to do.
Of course, ideal places as well would be supermarkets.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Places like Sainsbury's, large.
Yeah. There are a few in the city at the moment. Like up in North Harbour, there's a rapid charger at the Tesco Extra. So there are a few in place at the moment.
Okay, well that's fine. I mean, I'm support this. I think it's a good idea. Hopefully, obviously, as we roll it out, we'll get some in the north, currently all in the south. It's good to have it spread around the city so that it encourages people to have electric cars.
Yeah. Oh yes, there's no sort of issue about just concentrating on the south. I think it's got to be all over the city. I mean, obviously, the biggest number of people are down in the south, but in the north, there are obviously in places there are hotspots, aren't there, where people congregate. Lovely, thank you. Councillor Bosher.
Thank you very much, Councillor Stagg. No, I'm not going to play the north-south divide on this one because I was the cabinet member that actually introduced them and put them into the car parks in the south of the city, Councillor Heaney. So I'm not going to contradict myself in that respect, but actually I'm quite pleased that something that we started under the Conservatives has been carried on by the Liberal Democrats. We're pushing it forward, and it's nice to hear Graham's comments as well. It is what we call a cross-party consensus in the wider context. I think any of the questions I had, sort of Graham has actually already asked them, bar one. But that is largely around enforceability, and I'm not sure whether Dan can actually answer this one, but have the spaces been abused at all by non-electric vehicles, or have they actually been largely respected and left for those people that have electric vehicles that they want to charge?
Well, in regards to the off-street car park that we have at the moment, the Isambard Brunel and the one down by the Hover Travel, I'm not aware that those two spaces have been abused by non-EV users at all. If you're talking about the on-street trial more, that's kind of where we receive a bit more feedback about kind of non-EVs parking in those bays. And usually what we say is that we refer them to the TMC and that they should report that to the parking enforcement officers so that they can monitor it. So that would probably be a similar route we would take with the off street.
I understand that. I mean, this report is largely around the off street in council car parks, which is why I was asking that question, because I'm sure there is conflict to a point with the on street spaces and the availability of parking in general. I guess the only other comment I'd make is on the graphs that actually show that the usage has significantly increased since they've actually been in there. And I guess it sort of demonstrates with a lot of things that if you actually put the infrastructure in there, people will actually start to change their habits and move in a positive direction. Appreciate the on-street is a little bit more controversial, but certainly I think if we get the funding and we can start rolling these out to other car parks, council-owned across the city, then I think it's only going to be a good thing going forward.
Totally agree. Lovely. Thank you, Councillor Bosher. Nothing else? Okay, well, I'm happy to note the findings of the, it's good to see that the usage has increased, so that's really good. And I approve the trial electric vehicle charge points in Seafront, Esplanade and IKB car parks, and note that a feasibility study is in development, and the sooner that can be done, the better, because time is of the essence, isn't it? Because the CAS is rapidly approaching. So I mean, it's something like November 22nd or 21st, isn't it, that it's going in. So if we can have some things in place, it would be magic. I doubt that we will, but we can aim for it. So lovely. Thank you all very much. I think that anything else is that? No.
I will turn off the live streaming, Chair. Give me one moment, please.
Yes, thank you, Anna. And thank you everybody for attending.